We're talking about To the Bone because the eating disorder, health at every size community is a flutter about it.
Flutter is way too positive a word. Flutter. How about Chilled to the Bone? And it's
Very,
coming out on Friday, and I think that the world needs to be aware to help their children and to be prepared for what's going to be quite a triggering movie.
so there's a lot of discussion about triggering. I'm in the social justice
Mm-hmm.
community. People talk about it a lot. And people outside the social justice community get really pissed off. It's like, the world is triggering, get over yourselves. And to some extent, I do agree. I think that to say that this movie shouldn't have been made because it's triggering, I don't think is fair. Because if we were to get rid of every triggering thing in the world for someone who has struggled with an eating disorder, we would have no world left. We are allowed to think critically about if this was made responsibly, and if it was made accurately.
The actress Lily Collins herself is an eating disorder survivor, and she herself acknowledges that she had a very tough battle with anorexia. Yet, for the movie, she was encouraged to lose weight, and in quote unquote a healthy way. Quote unquote, yes. There's no healthy way to lose weight if you are recovered from an eating disorder.
Being larger meant I was healthy. And so I can remember I went to school out in LA, and there was this gardening initiative for like inner city areas. And I was really interested in gardening because I was sort of obsessed with this idea of like being connected to where you get your food from, and like how that could be nourishing and stuff like that. And so I spent an entire day gardening, and the next day, it was the most physical activity I'd done in a while, but it was really enjoyable. And I know that like exhausted feeling when you lay in bed at the end of the day, that it's just like the exhausting feeling. It was like that. And it was great. And then the next day I was getting ready to leave my apartment, and I had this like long, tall mirror, and I was looking at myself in it, and I like saw the outline of my like under rib when I stretched, which is a normal thing to see, but not something I am used to, except during my disordered days, during my restrictive disordered days. And it was extraordinarily triggering. I spent the next 3 or 4 days binging.
Isn't that interesting? You were worried that you were relapsing just by the trigger of seeing your own image, your own bone structure, which, by the way, is seen in the first under 1 minute in the movie.
In that.
Speaking about triggering images, I must say something that within the first 9 seconds, because I timed it, the actress, who has, we know, formerly been someone with anorexia who's recovered, expressed and displayed eating disorder behavior within the first 9 seconds. And I actually counted. There are 5 eating disorder behaviors that are very potentially triggering in this trailer, maybe more than 5.
Again, this idea of triggering is really interesting, but I think what you're also pointing out with that note is how much of the trailer is taken out just by showing eating disorder behavior, right?
That's correct.
That's the other issue, is that eating disorders are a mental illness, right? And they're very often projected as, this is about the food, this is about the behavior. Let me show you the behavior and show you how tragic it is, right? Because I mean, it is very tragic. And from what I could tell from the trailer, it doesn't look like it romanticizes too much. I mean, there is that opening scene where she's like, oh, I'm quirky and cute because I can tell calories and everything. Like, yes. I was that person. It's not quirky or cute, and it takes a long time to unlearn that shit.
And let me say, anorexia has the highest mortality rate of any other mental illness, any other eating disorder. So just putting that out there.
Are we really applauding yet another story like this that really and truly is a very, very, very small minority of people who deal with eating disorders? You know, it only, in my opinion, perpetuates this idea of what an eating disorder looks like. And that's very, very, very detrimental to people with atypical anorexia, with binge eating disorder, with bulimia, you know.
How about males? I'm going to put this out there because, and to the doctors who may be listening, to the males who also have anorexia, And in the transgender population, it's a huge problem.
They are astronomically more at risk for
Correct.
eating.
Yeah, I want to make a point about this movie. I really want to give it a trigger warning, just so that parents
Yes.
are fully aware of what their kids, and I'm saying kids because everyone has access to Netflix. 8-year-olds are going to be watching this.
Yes.
And for parents to watch it with them, to be aware of it, to have discussions with it, with their children, to have discussions with their older children. It's concerning.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, that could be potentially a nice silver lining in that if people, but that's the other thing, are parents going to responsibly talk about eating disorders with their kids? Because we also don't have any kind of education around how to talk about eating disorders with families. There's no
This is
education.
and we don't know actually if there's another eating disorder within the family, because eating disorders are very often genetically based.